Hi there, leg 2 of the Maggies to Maggies challenge, 25th of May 2022, and we're starting off at Linlithgow Canal Centre where we left off last Tuesday. We're not going to be doing a lot of live streaming today simply because the weather's not so good and we don't have too much data. Please remember we're doing this for the Maggies Forth Valley and the Seagull Trust Cruises Falkirk. It's about 15 miles today. The link to our Just Giving page is in Falkirk Piping and Glenbervie Facebook page. One is pinned to the top. I couldn't pin both, so please consider giving today. So we're going to start with a tune and then we'll see you somewhere about the Avon Aqueduct. Hi there, so 20 past 9, we've actually been late starting off every time. I'm not too worried about this one because it's less mileage and it's no say, we should be finished earlier actually. I'm hoping to be finished about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Anyway, Linlithgow, it's not actually raining just now. I could fire all sorts of silly army phrases at you like skin's waterproof and if it ain't raining, it ain't training. That's rubbish, isn't it? Anyway, not so bad just now, just started. I probably have to lose more layers. As you can see, we had to lose the pipe tech case. It was great for a few miles and under normal circumstances, civilised cases, it would be absolutely fantastic. However, I've got a hip belt on in this rucksack. It's not the best for the pipes because they're not really protected, but I'll do my best not to fall down anywhere. I do have quite an exciting offer from a company who makes proper padded straps and waist belt cases, and hopefully going to get one of them from them round about August, so that should be good. Looking forward to that. Linlithgow, famous for many things. The first assassination in Scotland with a firearm, I do believe. That might not be right, but it's definitely the birthplace of Mary Queen of Scots. So, an unfortunate monarch actually. She was never ever going to be popular and the odds were very, very much stacked against her. What she was then was the mother of James VI, who took the Union of the Crowns in 1603 and became the first monarch of both Scotland and England. Her herself, long line of Stuart monarchs, she was the daughter of James V, who died shortly after she was born. Wasn't very happy that it was a girl that his missus had, Mary of Guise I think, and uttered the words, "It cam wi' a lass and it will die wi' a lass," meaning the Stuart lineage as far as the monarchy went started with, I think, Marjorie, the daughter of Robert the Bruce and Walter the Steward. Anyway, born in Linlithgow Palace, just over there, that we haven't shown you, but we'll try and get there sometime later on. Went to France, not immediately, but pretty quickly, which was about the safest place for her because there was all sorts of things going on back here in these days. Right in the middle of the Reformation, John Knox has arrived, sponsored heavily by King Henry VIII, who had taken over the Church of England. So there we have a wee bit of subterfuge and propaganda sponsored by England. The Reformation, of course, up here was much, much different. It wasn't just a change of ownership, it was burn everything. with a slightest smack of Catholicism. So all the effigies, the artworks, everything, the whole lot were torn down and burnt. And by the time Mary Queen of Scots came back, it had changed a lot here. We'll just show you this as well. What are these great big muckle bits of wood for? Now they've got handles on them. Again, I was shown this, we're at a bridge here. I was shown this by, I think it was Ian actually, from the Canal Society. So if the canal needed maintained, even way back in 1822, what you did is you got a team of guys, because these things probably weighed a ton, and you dropped the great big bits of wood, which are there, into these slots here. And there must have been more further upstream, and you could then do work on perhaps the bridge or further on in the canal. Don't forget, this canal is, oh, they called it, there's a word for it, but it's the same level all the way from Fountain Bridge to just above the Falkirk Wheel. That's why the Falkirk Wheel's there, is to replace the 11 logs that were originally in Camlin, and connects the Union Canal with the Forth and Clyde, and it's a much quicker experience than it used to be. The gentleman actually kayaking, not Canadian canoeing. So, see you in a wee bit. I need to check and see if these guys are actually ready to help me across the Avon Aqueduct, which I'm really looking forward to. Okay, I'm quite pleased to see this place. It is at present the headquarters of the Linlithgow Scouts, but two things. First of all, it used to be a stables with dwelling houses at either end. I'll just bring that back in a wee bit. So the house would be here, possibly upstairs and downstairs, because I don't think they were generous to their staff in these days. This bit in the middle here, this was the stables for the horses, who were much, much more important than the people. You can see the Scout emblem up here, still at the stables portion, I do believe, and back here at the accommodation end. So this was, you'll have heard of change houses, and I don't know if this was actually termed a change house or not. That's better. But that's what it was. It was where the horses were changed. So still surviving, which is absolutely fantastic, and looked after as well, because the Sea Scout, sorry, not the Sea Scouts, the Scouts are here looking after it, occupying it and keeping the building going. Alarmed, of course, because not everyone is as responsible and friendly as the Scouts. Should say one more thing about these guys. We did the Canal Flotilla there on Saturday, and the Scouts met us in their kayaks. Hope this is okay, it's a bit windy. On just after the Avon Aqueduct, and they paddled in front of us to the Scout headquarters here, which was really good. No one drowned, and you can actually get down here. There's a wee car park here, and these canoes don't belong to the Scouts, I don't think, but obviously there is activity on the canal, so it's probably waiting for someone coming down later on and actually having a wee kayak. That's not a kayak though, that's a Canadian canoe, isn't it? Anyway, the other thing that's really good is that the Scout headquarters, or the change house, wasn't too far from the Avon Aqueduct, and I'm hoping to meet Kathryn and my special guest for today, Walter, more of whom later on at the Avon Aqueduct, and I actually think we might be there in about 10 minutes. It is nearly 10 o'clock. We're doing not bad for the first bit. So hope to see you soon for a wee tune. I think this is the tallest aqueduct over the canal, and what we hope to show you very soon is the view. I'll show you a bit of the view over the side. You can see the railway viaduct. I think I kept calling the aqueduct the viaduct on last Tuesday. In the distance, that's the Almond. Is that a viaduct if it's a railway? I don't know. It's not a rail-aduct. Anyway, this is over the River Almond, which is also the boundary between Falkirk District and West Lothian. And from a historical viewpoint, it was really where the Jacobite army, or elements of the Jacobite army, chased General Hawley's army to after Falkirk. They made a stand in the Avon Gorge here. Most people in Falkirk will think of the Avon Gorge as the absolutely horrible road junction up near Turfickin, taking the road from Turfickin to Bathgate. But this is still part of the Avon Gorge here as well, and the most spectacular part, I believe, is just down here. It's been raining and it's still raining, so there's a fair bit of water in the Avon. Sometimes these days we look at the level of water in what were considered at one point to be really formidable obstacles, and we think, oh, you could just walk through that. But the water levels generally in these days were much higher. So this is the River Avon below us now, and don't drop the camera into the river, Piper, and I'll keep showing you that for a wee bit. Quite nice. You don't really get an idea of the height from up here. Ah, there they are. Look at that support crew. Where have you been? I'll tell you what we'll do, we'll give you a wee tune. Right, hi there, 1 o'clock, maybe about 5 miles to go, and we're now approaching the Falkirk Tunnel. I don't know if you can see that figurehead up there on the bridge. He's smiling. The date 1821 above it, so a year or so before the canal opened. So we're approaching completion, it's still being done. This is called the Laughing and Greeting Bridge, and you can see that's Mr. Happy on that side. Just come through with me here. You can see the sign for the Falkirk Tunnel ahead, mainly intended for boats. Probably tells you just be careful. It's also quite wet in there, which we'll find out pretty soon. I don't think that's a barge. Anyway, it's quite difficult to see, but on this side, the sun's in the way. But you can see that the wee man in the middle of the bridge there isn't very happy. So one side's laughing, one side's greeting. Here's one of the stories. There's actually about 4 or 5 stories attached to it. The canal here originally wasn't going to go in this direction at all. Originally it was going through the grounds of Calendar House, and there would have been a huge viaduct at the back of Calendar House to ensure that the canal was still on the same level. The occupant of Calendar House at that time was a Mr. Forbes. Sometimes he was called Copper Bottom because he built ships with copper bottoms. Anyway, Mr. Forbes didn't like the idea of countless barges full of coal towed by wee boys making a racket, generally bringing down the image of his nice estate. So he objected. He had a painting made to simulate what the aqueduct was going to look like, and he exaggerated a wee bit. It looked totally horrible. So he had friends in high places, and the canal was diverted, and they had to build the tunnel here, which is 610 metres long, and obviously cost an awful lot more than it would have been just to go through the Calendar estate. So the story behind the Laughing and Greeting Bridge is that everyone that was going towards Edinburgh behind us was quite happy because they had the cheap and easy site to build, and everyone going towards the tunnel here had that big humongous tunnel to cut out of the bare rock, which was quite a job. So I've got company now, and we'll introduce them in a minute, and two of us are going to play through the tunnel here. Hi there. Now, we're actually at the other side of the Falkirk Tunnel. We've just played through it, but I realised I hadn't introduced Walter. This is Walter Williamson. That's the tall guy, not the short person in the middle, who will be playing first. So, Walter lives locally, and amongst other things is a legendary figure, because at one point he used to play with Muirhead and Sons, way back, not that far back. So thanks very much, Walter, for joining us today. Enjoy the tunnel. It's something different. If you get a chance to do it, but take someone with you, because it's not altogether safe. So I hope you enjoy the tunes, and we'll see you after that for the remaining 6 miles. Thank you. windy, but I thought I'd just show you this. If in the distance there you can be able to see some wind turbines, and it looks like down to the 3 o'clock maybe position there's a big white building there. Now the big white building is actually closer than the wind turbines, and that is Forth Valley Royal Hospital, and the Maggies Centre is pretty much just over there, a little bit closer. So we're going this way to the wheel now, and then we'll cross all the way over there to Maggies Forth Valley. That's the Ochils in the distance, and if you are exceptionally sharp-eyed you'll be able to see Stirling Castle pretty much straight at 12 o'clock, but it's really hard to see. So I'm going to crack on because I want to get finished at a decent time, and we'll see you. There's something I want to show you just before the wheel, and then we'll see you for a tune at the Falkirk Wheel. It's 1:45, and what we have here, we've just passed milepost 31 from Edinburgh, so from Maggies that's about 35. What we're saying up here, the Falkirk Wheel 1.5 plus 3 for the wheel to Maggies. Let's make that 32, it's about 35, 36, you guys can correct me, 36 miles instead of 33. There's the official proof there. Edinburgh 31.5, but it's Edinburgh and a little bit. But the reason we're showing you this is where the Union Canal used to end way back in the day, before 1965 or something like that, and the 11 locks went down from here. Just cracking on because once I get finished, went down from here to join the Forth and Clyde Canal. Now, if you were a sleeper passenger between Edinburgh and Glasgow, or Glasgow and Edinburgh, you just merrily dozed your way all the way down there, although how you could sleep through going through 11 locks is beyond me. Perhaps there was drink involved. If you weren't a sleeper passenger, you were collected, if you were posh, if you were travelling by barge as a passenger, but you were posh anyway, weren't you? You were collected by carriage and taken down to the Forth and Clyde Canal to meet your onward trip there. So you could actually go to Grangemouth, or more likely you would go west here to Glasgow, but on the Forth and Clyde Canal. So this extension, I think this was finished about 2002, more of 2002 later, and this now takes you along to the Falkirk Wheel. Hi there, nearly there, about a mile to go. We're at Larboard Viaduct. I'm staying still here because it's actually really noisy out on the road. So a mile to go, and then we'll play the last half mile round the loch. This always reminds me of going home, because I used to see it in the bend in the train when I came home and leave from the army or wherever I'd been. Anyway, not long to go. Thanks for bearing with us.